it's not just this happy scene of like, hey, let's get married. This is such a cute thing to do. Let's do this together, right? In the Jewish culture, this is a huge disrespect. Massive disrespect. All right, now let's talk about Thomas and Ramah in episode 1. We get one small scene with them, really two small scenes with them that one is really, really important, but I think we have to understand the culture and kind of the understanding of what marriage was like for the Jewish people for us to really grasp what is going on here. There also may be some words that you didn't quite understand, and so I'm going to walk through some of that as well, and kind of talk through this whole system of marriage and what is actually going on. So first off, we're in Capernaum here. Again, I'll kind of point out some of the CGI elements of this shot. So all of this behind the city is all CGI. We've talked about this before, but the CGI has gotten so much better in the last few seasons, for sure, since season 1. Season 1 CGI was kind of rough. Even some moments in season 2 were kind of rough. But in season 3 and 4, we've really upgraded and done some really, really great stuff. And so here is this scene here with Thomas and Ramah as we get into Capernaum.
Finally separate enough to have a moment together.
Bless Barnaby and Shula.
So remember, Ramah was gone for the majority of season 3. She left in episode 2, and then we basically never saw her again until the end of episode 8, and only for like literally 2 seconds. And so she didn't have any speaking lines or anything like that later on. She was just in the first 2 episodes, and that was it. Very small parts in that, talking to Thomas about how they really, really like each other, and if you like me, check the yes on my note. That's kind of all we got from her in season 3. Season 4, she's finally back. She has come back from being with her father. And we're going to talk about the kind of inclination of what that means. But she's here to talk to Thomas specifically about them and what's kind of going on with them.
Before we went away to the Decapolis, and everything happened there, which, to be honest...
From what I've heard, you're probably still having a bit of a hard time accepting.
So obviously he's referencing the feeding of the 5,000, how he probably can't really believe that this has happened. He is a logical thinker, right? He's not sure exactly what's going on. And of course the walking on water as well. Now Ramah wasn't there for any of that. So she's saying, from what I've heard, you're probably having a hard time accepting what's going on there, what has happened there.
Getting better, right? At accepting things I cannot explain.
You are. You're not the same man from the wedding with Kana.
So, there's actually somebody who's still the same man that he's always been?
My father.
Tell me, how did it go? Talking to him after I left. That good, huh?
So not great. Kaufney, obviously we've seen in the last couple seasons, really does not want Ramah to be with Thomas. And not only does he not want her to be with Thomas, but honestly, he doesn't want her to be with Jesus either. So this is a pretty big deal. And yet she's returned. So let's play this a little bit more and then we'll talk about that.
He loves you very, very much. There's no denying that.
No denying it.
And he knew what I was going to ask him, actually, before I fully did. He made that clear to me back in Samaria.
Nothing gets past him.
Kaufney's a hard man, Ramah.
I was hoping he'd understand. I thought he'd be able to do this. Let me grow up.
He finds Jesus objectionable. And he disagrees with our choice to leave the profession and follow Jesus. I truly love you, Ramah. There's got to be some way to make this work.
I was hoping you'd say this.
You were?
Now, before we get to her some way to make this work kind of loophole, let's talk about marriage in general. Okay, so within the Jewish society, Generally, this is how marriage works, okay? From a very young age, you kind of find someone to marry, but you don't normally find them. Normally, it's families that are put together for a specific reason or whatever else. And normally, the parents are kind of making this deal for these children that are coming through. This is incredibly important, especially for the female, to have a father that can give you away as the bride, okay? That's very, very important. There's a contract that's laid up, there's a bride price that's paid, there's a bunch of stuff that happens during this time. Now, the first step of this is the kiddushin, which is basically the betrothal. This is the proposal. This is the thing that, like, hey, you guys are a match. You guys are together. You are betrothed to each other. You shall not see anybody else until you get married, okay? They would have this thing called the ketubah, which is like a contract for the marriage, right? And this would all kind of work together, and the families would rejoice and be happy that these two are together. Then there's about a year-long period in between the kiddushin and the nisuin, which is like the marriage section, okay, where the man will go and he will build a house for his wife. Thomas and Ramah specifically are talking about the kiddushin. They're talking about the betrothal in particular. However, the problem with this is that in order for the kiddushin to take place, generally, you need your father, or at the very, very least, you need a relative that is a male that could give you away. Okay, this is a major problem. So before we jump into that, let's go back to the scene. Let's talk about what Ramah is talking about here and see the loophole that she found, and we'll talk about that.
Of course, I have an idea.
You do?
I've carefully researched every detail, every rabbinic tradition, every minor detail.
You did?
According to the halaka, in the event of an absentee father or exceptionally uncommon circumstances, which I believe our following of Jesus constitutes.
So she says, according to the halaka, so if you miss that word, the halaka is essentially how the Chosen is using it here, is kind of like the oral tradition, okay? The halaka is like this list of rules and ordinances that different priests and rabbis and different people have kind of put together over time in order for people to answer very specific questions, okay? So it's like things that are according to the law, but they're not quite law. They're like things to help you to interpret the law and to walk through Jewish culture. So this is the culture of Judaism. It is not scripture, okay? So in the Jewish culture, what she's saying is the halakha actually says that in the presence of an absentee father or unique circumstances, then you can go about this a different way. Now, I actually read where this takes place, where this is written down, and how it's actually worded is in the case of an absentee father. Basically, what you need to do is have someone that is around, someone that is in your family, right, or in your village that could give you away. Okay, that is kind of the base of what you need, first of all. So this isn't really what Ramah's doing here. And there is other cases where, yes, you can have a witness and as far as they're going now, but that's like the third or fourth step beyond your father. It's not the first step that you would go to. You can't just say, okay, my father is gone, or these are unique circumstances, and so I'm just going to get some random people that I know, and we're going to all get together, and we're going to make sure that this marriage thing happens. That's not exactly how it would go right off the bat. That would be the steps that are later on after the fact. So let's keep on watching, and there's a pretty big thing here that's actually being said without being said.
There is a special dispensation for validating a marriage. A male who is at least 13 years old.
And she doesn't say this, but it also declares that the female needs to be 12 and a half, specifically 12 and 6 months, at least.
Verbalizes the formula, Hare et mikudeshet li kedat Moshe ve'Yisrael. You are hereby consecrated to me according to the law of Moses and Israel. Upon recital, the groom must give the bride some object of value. If she accepts it, she thus validates the kiddushin as a legal act and is designated as betrothed.
Yep. So these two can choose to get married. If he gives her a gift and she accepts it, then there's witnesses that are a part of it. A contract needs to be signed, all this kind of stuff. Now, what's really, really interesting is that, like I said, I read through this document that she's talking about, and what it says here is that she basically is foregoing the father because the father's not there, but then she needs to go to like her relatives. Maybe she doesn't have any. Maybe she doesn't have any aunts or uncles. Maybe she doesn't have any uncles or brothers or anything else that could give her away. Then it would go to her village, right? Surely there's a lot of men in her village that could give her away. So her father isn't actually an absentee father. He's actually been there the entire time, right? And these unique circumstances, sure, they could play into this, but for the most part, I mean, it's not that unique, right? To go off and find a different profession and to travel. Like, yes, it is unique during this time, but it's not so unique that it constitutes something this wild, right? I don't think that the Jewish people would rule it in that way. So really, let's think about what Ramah's actually saying here, okay? By leaving her father and going on this journey, right? Leaving Tel Dor and going on this journey to Capernaum, meeting up with Thomas and saying that she wants to marry him and doing all of these things and going through the kiddushin, the betrothal, right? What is she actually saying here? She's telling her father, you are as good as dead to me. And not only is she telling her father that, but she's also telling her entire village that. Because she doesn't choose them to help her with this marriage, right? Remember what the document says. It says, in the case of an absentee father, which Kafni is not, he loves his daughter and he's been there for her basically every step of the way. He even let her go on this original journey, right? Yeah, now this is unique circumstances, but I don't know if that would catch up to it. So the next step would be to have someone in her family. So maybe she doesn't have a family, let's say in The Chosen, this is a non-biblical character, maybe she doesn't have a family. But then we go to the village. She definitely has males in her village that know her, that grew up with her, that probably, would want to do this or help to do this, or maybe not. But that would be technically the next step in this. It wouldn't be to go all the way to the other side and say, okay, let's get 2 witnesses. Let's find a rabbi that's going to do this for us, right? So really what she's saying to her village and to her father is, you are as good as dead to me. You are as good as non-existent to me. And this plays a huge role in who Ramah is and what's going to happen with this whole kiddushin here. It's massive. I think that a lot of us miss that when we watch this for the first time. We miss the understanding that Ramah is not, it's not just this happy scene of like, hey, let's get married. This is such a cute thing to do. Let's do this together, right? In the Jewish culture, this is a huge disrespect, massive disrespect, just a massive punch in the face to her father and to her family and to her village, all the people that are around her that she grew up with. She is choosing this random rabbi, this random Thomas dude, right, over all of them, and she's breaking all of these things that they would consider laws and rituals and cultural things that would have been a massive no-no, right? It's like, this is going to hurt so bad for them, right? And they are going to have so much more animosity towards Jesus, towards Thomas, towards everything else that's happening there because of this choice that Ramah is making. Really, really intense stuff for sure. So let's keep on going with the scene.
Consecrated to him alone.
So, wait. Is that it? That's all you have
The
to...
formula must be spoken in the presence of 2 competent male witnesses, one representing the groom and one representing the bride.
I will ask John to be my witness.
And we both know there really is only one man who can represent me.
And you see that line there makes even worse, right? There's really only one man that could represent me, and that's Jesus, right? What she's going to say, he's the only one that can give her away. However, in this document that she's quoting, if she's really gone through it and everything, there's a lot of men that could stand in there, but she's choosing not to put them there.
Jesus.
The only one who can give me away.
We'll ask him.
And then it's done.
It will take some time to draw up the contracts. I assume they must be signed by an official rabbi who can confirm the circumstances are indeed extenuating and unique?
Yes.
If only we knew where we could find a rabbi who could do that.
Now, this is a cute scene. It's very nice, right? But I want you to listen to a few things as we continue on and get through this section here. Listen to the music, first of all. Music is always very, very key, in The Chosen in particular. Listen to the music. And then we'll also see kind of a big no-no that they did culturally here in this scene as well.
Can this really happen within our faith? It feels right, but is it? I suppose it wouldn't be the first unorthodox betrothal in the history of our people. Esther married a Gentile king to save Israel. David didn't wait for his father to pick his bride. Even Jesus told us about his parents' unconventional arrangement. He couldn't...
Yes? We don't compare to them, but we do have Jesus to ask. He can decide.
Yes, of course.
So Thomas looks back here towards Barnabula, as a lot of people like to call them.
Well, one unconventional arrangement will not be ours. Ruth was a Gentile, and she snuck into the place where Boaz was sleeping. We're not going that route.
This is the classic, you are not going to propose to me guy talk here.
Asking you.
I forgot that part. Well, let's see how that goes.
Will you forever...
Listen to the music here. Think about what this scene has been so far. It's very cutesy. It's very nice. It's very, uplifting. But listen to this music here.
Walk with me, and read with me, and rattle off endless rules and extenuating circumstances with me.
Yes.
So right there, it feels very happy. We're getting this chord that's kind of ascending here, and then we have the voice that's ascending as well. It seems very happy and good. Listen to what happens here. Again, a major chord there at the top, and we're hearing a very happy piece here. Now, here is a cultural no-no for sure. When I saw this in theaters, I actually texted Dallas about this, about them touching hands here, or when I saw a teaser of this portion here. Now, I thought Dallas's explanation for why this is happening, why they're touching hands, was actually pretty good. Now, he says that they show things in The Chosen specifically because they want to show what is a no-no in culture, or like what is a mistake in culture, something that would not happen, in order to show you what the rules for culture are, right? So a man and woman, regardless of if they're related or anything else, in public would basically never touch like this. This was like a very, very rare thing, right, that would ever happen. This would be, especially for them, two people that are falling in love, this would have been like scandalous. Like this would have been like kids in the youth group making out. Okay, like that's like serious like issue, right? And so here, I'm not sure this would actually happen, if this is a real thing. However, obviously in The Chosen, it's using it as an example of showing like, okay, culturally, this is definitely not accepted, even holding hands here. But again, let's go back to the music, because these two things are happening at the same time. Let's listen to the music here. Remember, it was going up. It was kind of a major sort of like exciting, happy, kind of cutesy moment. Let's listen to the music again here.
Oh, boy. The one time I wish she still couldn't see.
We're getting married. It's all right.
I had one job.
So you could hear there, the music at the very end of it just came down a bit, turned a little bit more minor, and kind of went down a bit. So there's something that's going on in this situation that's supposed to make us feel uneasy. There's something that's going on in the situation that's supposed to make us feel a little bit off. But we're not sure exactly why, right? The big takeaway for me here is not only the understanding of the marriage and the cultural things within what Thomas and Ramah are doing here, but also the understanding that she basically told her village and her father, "You're dead to me." This is a pretty major thing for Ramah to do. And so that's going to be important for us later on. Anyway, let me know what you thought in the comments down below, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.